the last lecture because the last lecture I couldn't upload in time, but I'll upload the two lectures of today's and the last one together today, inshallah. So, implementing strategies, we are continuing, and today we will be discussing some issues in the implementation stage, and those issues are related to marketing, finance, accounting, research and development, and MIS issues. Uh, as you know that we have uh, gone through some formulation stage where we have discussed so many things. Let me, if I revise, not the revise, but to remind of all those issues, what we have done so far. If you remember from the chapter number 2, that we have established our vision and mission, and we saw that without having vision and mission, any organization, any project, or any activity, any business activity cannot be taken place successfully. So we have we have learned how to establish the vision and the mission of any organization, any product, any project. And after that, we have gone to the assessment of internal factors and as well as external factors, which may or may not be having effect on our decision making. So we've performed internal audit, and in that internal audit, we have gone through some basic issues of the organizational internal structure. We've seen that how there are some issues, there are some points in our internal system, in the marketing area, in the finance area, accounting area, R&D. We have done it internal audit. Then we have performed external audit as well, and we saw so many external forces like economic forces, political forces, social forces, cultural forces, because these forces are also uh, 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 mm, put direct or indirect effect on our decision making, because without considering these forces, we cannot create a good strategy. So after looking into the internal and external forces, we have then gone to establishing long-term objectives, because I've told you that without having objective or objective less mind or objective less strategy or objective less plan is not a plan either. So when you are running an organization, when you're running with project, when you are up to any kind of a business activity, you must create some short-term and long-term objectives, because those objectives are basically defining your business. If you're doing something in business and you don't have an objective, it means you're doing nothing. Though you would be carrying some profit as well, though you must be selling something, you must be creating or manufacturing something. But if you do not have long-term objectives, so I I don't think so that business would come up with the successful end. Then, after establishing long-term objective, we have established some mm, processes. We have seen some processes, procedures to select and to have some alternatives of strategies. So we have discussed our internal strengths and weaknesses. We have we have seen the external strength and weaknesses, and then we came up with the different alternative strategies, that what should we do in the future for the sake of getting those targets achieved. So in the chapter number 6, we have done with some procedures. We have done uh, some kind of matrices. We have done space matrix, we have done SWOT matrix, we have gone through with the mm, IE and EFE metrics. So all those metrics, all those technical issues or practices was taken just to have some package of its strategies, that how an organization would go in which path. Though those were the package of strategies, and then it is required by the firm, it is required by any project or project manager to have best strategy to be implemented. And then you have selected, you select any best strategy or any high priority strategy to be operated. And when you have selected the high priority strategy to be operated, then obviously next stage is to implement that strategy. So we are in that stage that we have selected some of that strategy, and now we are going to implement it. So in the last lecture we have seen what are those management issues which should be taken into consideration while practicing that strategy, or while following that strategy into ground, what we have selected in the previous steps. So in the last class, we have seen the some management issues, and we are continuing with it. And today we will be seeing these that strategy, what has been selected, what has been opted, what are the functional issues regarding that strategy, that particular strategy, what we have selected in that process. So functional issues, obviously, we know that the main functional issues in any organization are marketing, finance, accounting, R&D, and MIS. So we are here at the stage of implementing strategies, and the greatest strategy is doomed if it is implemented badly. This is the Bernard Remain saying. It means that whatever the strategy you have selected, if it is practiced badly, if it is followed badly, it will be doomed. It will be ruined, because it is not to decide about what we have to do. The main thing is to decide about how do we have to do. Because there are two main. If I bifurcate this practice, so there are two main sides of the strategy implementation. What is to be done? That is a different question that has been done. And let me turn off your mics, please, because Zoheb Basit, please turn off your mic, please. Thank you very much. So it is not the matter what to be selected. That has been done. We have selected the strategy. Now the matter is how do we done? How do we do? How do we follow that strategy? The nature of strategy. Now you can see that the less than 10% of strategy formulated are successfully implemented. It means that in the world, in the globe, so many businesses are working, so many projects are there, and obviously all those projects and businesses follow some strategies. But what unfortunate with us, not more than 10% are successful. It means that there is a big ratio of failure. There is a huge ratio of failure. Why any strategy is have failed in larger ratio? Because it is not only to have alternate strategies, it is to It is to define the way how the strategy should be followed. And mostly firms fail in it because they select the strategy, they decide about something, but after that they don't know how to deal with it, or how to take this particular decision into successful end. I'm showing you some real example of the big names. You can see on your screen that I'm showing you some 7 cases here. I will not telling you these cases in detail to you because this is your assignment of the today's class. What the assignment is, I'll be telling you later on. But these are the 7 cases. You see that Iridium is a big company, is big name, but it has also failed. Then the Green Tree Financial, it is and again a big name, but it get failed again in some way, somewhere. Similarly, eBay is again a big name, but unfortunately, they have also gone through some bad experiences. Kodak, Kodak is another name. Similarly, the Shell's Brewing Company, Donald Trump, the former president of the USA, he's a big business gun of the America, and he has also gone through some failures. And the last but not the least is Ernan. Now, these are the 7 different cases I have shown you here, slightly just for the introduction. Now, what would be the assignment in that? I'll be telling you in later on. So, by showing this, I'm trying to tell you that the failure is not that thing which what we say that one could say that this a lack of money basic factor is behind the failure. But these 7 names are very big guns of the business. They don't have the lack of the money, but they get failed. They don't have the lack of the skills, but they get failed. They don't have the opportunities in the market, lack of the opportunity in the market, but they get failed. Why have they failed? Because there are some issues in their practices, where because there are some things, there are some issues they've forgotten to notice. Now you have to make an assignment on them. One of them, how to make an assignment, what to do, I'll be telling you later on. So right now, uh, uh, I'll uh, uh, I'll be just putting light onto some functional areas that why a strategy get failed. There are many reasons for the low success. As I told you that the not more than 10% are success in their strategy implementation. So there are many reasons of the low success rate of implementing strategies. What they include? The first one is failing to segment market appropriately. If you see that in the market, when we are selling some product especially, so in the market segmentation is quite important element. And if you do do it effectively, if you do this market segmentation effectively, so you can get good results. But in the most of the failure cases, it has been observed that the market segmentation has not been done appropriately. Then the number two is paying too much for a new acquisition. Sometimes there is a big money, but that big money should be uh, 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 carefully spent on some decision. If you have opted to uh, acquire some when you have opted a strategy for merger or partnership or introducing some new product, And the name I've shown you, say seven big name, but more than that, there may be more than that. What uh, what they uh, do mistakenly, they spend a lot of money. What should not be spent there? Because when you have a big money, when you have a lot of money, then uh, uh, it may be possible, and it has been seen that for very little job, very little job, or very little act, or very that kind of a particular task where you can spend least of money, but you spend a lot of money, and obviously that particular act or that particular task does not needed a big money, but you have spent the big money. So obviously in return, what would you get? You would not get that much amount of return. So that's how you get failed in bringing those required results, because money is uh, either it is in huge amount. You may have billions and millions of dollars, but to be having a billions and millions of dollars doesn't mean that you spend that money unwisely. Because for the poor man, money is important. But I would say that for the richer man, money is more important, because poor man has nothing to waste. He would definitely would take care of this money, because the money is not big amount. But the larger margin is there with the richer people who can waste money. And the wastage of money, obviously, it takes you to the failure side. Similarly, falling behind competitors in R&D. Most of the cases in the world has been witnessed that the failure is just due to have a misunderstanding of the market and the competitors. Because if you do not read your competitors accurately, if you do not follow the research and development need, contemporary need, you would not, you would get failed. Because competition is such kind of activity where your competitors are growing day by day, where your competitor is getting competitive advantage day by day. But if you're not following that, you are not reading your competitors, you are not reading the market. If you're not reading your competitors edge, so how would you get good results from the market? And similarly, research and development, because nowadays research and development takes any business, any organization to the lead, because now the world has been changed. Technology is being brought in the market on the daily basis. Every day, some new technique, some new phenomenon, some new function have been added into the technology. And if you're not following that technology, and if you're not doing research and development in your organization, and research and development is not so that just you have to create some new product. Research and development is also embeds the detailed study of the competitors and detailed study of the market as well. Because how would you go and how would you study the competitors? How would you study the market? It is research and development. And the last but not the least is not recognizing benefit of the computers in the managing information. Computers now a day very much important and integral part of the business life. If you do not have your website, if you do not have your uh, 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 mm, link address, web address, you cannot do the business. You know that the people and the young men are nowadays doing online business, freelancings. So even if you know, if you do not have your web page, if you do not have your uh, uh, online accounts, you cannot do this kind of business. So that's why computers becoming a very much necessary item of the business. Either you are producing something, You're taking care of your accounts, you're taking care of your the human resource development, you're taking care of the marketing issues. All these needed the computer and business. But most of the failure cases are due to have the lack of this computer skills, and particularly in the developing nations. So now we come up with the marketing issues. What are the marketing issues? What we may have as a reason of a failure? There are countless marketing variable effects that success or failure of the strategy implementation. And the two variables of central importance to the strategy implementation. Two variable of the marketing. The one is market segmentation, and the other is product positioning. As I told you earlier, that if you have not followed market segmentation effectively, the results would not be in favor of you. You must understand the market phenomena. You must understand the market realities. You must understand the market demographics, what the product you're throwing into the market. You must read the customer. You must need the customer need. You must need the customer black box. Because in your society, people are living not in a one closed box. There are women, there are children, there are special people, there are old aged men, there are young people, there are employed, there are unemployed, home fellows, there are students, there, there are tourists, and so many things. You can classify your population into too many demographics. And every demographic part of the population is having a different need. Because if you just take the example of toothbrush. Now, what is toothbrush? It is just to clean your teeth. But what you see, you will find a toothbrush different for the female, a toothbrush different for the children, for the baby girl, for the baby boy. You will find different kind of a toothpaste. So, though there is not a different job of these toothbrush brushes in a way, but what firm is doing, they are segmenting the market. Similarly, you see your mobiles. Similarly, you see your laptops. You will find laptop with 17 inches screen, 21 inches screen, 18-inch screen, 12 inches screen. You will find with different functions in mobile as well. What? Why for? Because different people have different choices. So you need to locate those different choices, segment that demographic wisely, smartly, and then produce the product. And most of the firm failed in doing market segmentation effectively. Similarly, the product positioning. I have explained this market segmentation, subdividing the market into the distinct subset of the customers according to the need and the buying habits. I've explained this. And you can now here the market segment is being explained like that. You can segment market on these bases: geographic basis, demographic basis, psychographic basis, and behavioral basis. Geographic basis mean that you can segment your market, that I'll produce my product for different for Punjab and different for Pakhtunkhwa, or different for Afghanistan and different for Pakistan, because there is a geographic differences. Similarly, demographic differences. Children are there, men are there, women are there. So these are called demographics. Psychographics. Today, in the recent world, psychographic very much important. You have to study the psyche of the customer, and according to the psyche, you can distribute your product. As I told you the example of the toothbrush, and the behavioral as well. So market segmentation is required to successfully implement market development product development, market penetration, and diversification strategies. It follows a firm to operate with limited resources because mass production, distribution, advertising are not required. Because it says so that if you segment market, you are uh, subdividing your population into the small samples, and for that small samples, you do not have need to produce your product at the large scale. Ijazul Haq sir, please turn off your mic. And a good and well effective market segmentation enables the small firms to compete successfully with large firms by maximizing per unit profit in the per segment sale. You can compete with the larger firms if you segment your market effectively. If somebody asks you, sir, what is market segmentation? Tell me in easy word. Let's say if you uh, uh, if you want to manufacture what we say that let's say you want to manufacture a mobile, and you just take one design of mobile for all market. You have produced one design of mobile for complete all market for all Peshawar. That would get failed. Why? Because that design, it is not possible that the same design is being liked by everyone, or the same design is being required by everyone, or the same design having the function equally required by the everyone. Probably that design, what you are going to produce, if that design is liked by let's say we assume only 5% people are liking that product, but you are making that product for the 100% people. So what you did, you have wasted your money, because only 5% people are liking your product. So that particular design should be produced for the 5% people only. So you must read the need of the market of the different segments. And the positioning, obviously, the product placement, promotion, and price, these are the positionings. I think we have discussed in earlier chapters what these are. You have to think about your product design, product nature. You have to think about the placement, where you have to sell it, how to sell it, what would be the distribution. That is called placement. You have to go for good promotion of your product. But if you don't go a good promotion, if you don't do the good promotion of the product, then you get failed. Then the price is this there, because pricing is also a very effective uh, 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 tool to get good results. And for all those, for product decision, for placement decision, for promotion decision, and for pricing decision, you need to study the market, because without having market study, without having market information, you cannot decide about your product design, product nature, placement, promotion strategies, and the price as well. So these are the issues under the product, these are the issues under the placement, these are the issues under the promotion and pricing, where you have to think in detail. I would not explain one of every point of them, but you can see there are so many points in the products you have to think about. There are so many points in the placement you have to think about, in the promotion, in the pricing. You have to take care of all these point one by one, and then you go for the into the market for fight. This is an again example for the demographic segmentation. So these are the psychographic segmentation, these are the behavioral segmentation, demographic segmentation, geographic segmentation. In geographic segmentation, you can see this country size, city size, density, climate uh, change, demographic distribution. You can figure out, or you can distinguish your population according to the age, according to the gender, according to family size, according to income, occupation, education, religion, race, nationality. These are the demographic reasons, and the examples are given here. Psychographic, you can classify your population on the basis of the social class, personality, and what they are. They are being written in front of it. You can read it carefully, because lower, lower middles, upper middles, what we see in our social class, in our society, there are classes: lower middle income, higher middle income, and middle income, higher income, lower income. So these are the different classes. And the behavioral, there are behavioral demographics as well. You can use occasion, you can use benefit sorts, user status, usage rate, loyalty status, and so many things. And meanwhile, if you find something not easy and difficult, you can ask question. And product positioning, I have told you about the product positioning. There are four issues of product positioning: product, pricing, promotion, and okay. These are the uh, product positioning steps. Select key criteria, diagram map, plot competitor product, look for the niche, and develop marketing plan. Now, what the product positioning steps? They have been explained here. What you do, you just uh, uh, take two criterias. Now, the first step is select key criteria. Now, here in this diagram, the key criteria is price, and uh, horizontal axis there is a price, and on the vertical axis there is uh, uh, fashionable the fashion of that product, very latest fashionable wear and very old or conservative everyday men's wear. So these are the two criterias are there. So on the horizontal axis they have graded price, and just they have just taken two extremes: high price or low price. Simply, there is no more calculation, and there no more numerical handling it is there into this diagram. So pricing, either it would be high, that has been taken on the right side, and it might be low, taken on the left side. Similarly, your fashion would be very latest, or your fashion would be conservative. And when you have uh, uh, plotted these criteria into this in form of a axis, then you find again four quadrants: quadrant number 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you locate yourself where you are. Like here you can see in the next diagram, here I've shown you four different cases: a product position map for banks on the upper left side, you're seeing a product positioning map for the personal computers on the upper right corner, a product positioning map for the menswear retail store on the lower left corner, and this is the product positioning map for the rental car market on the lower right corner. So you can see there are different criteria, like just go for this personal computer type of thing. What are the two criteria? Bad customer services and good customer services, high capability and low capability. So these two criteria have been selected. You can decide two different criteria. It's up to you. So now you see the market that the two firms are there, firm number one and firm number two, who have high capability and who have good customer services. So they two firms lie into this one. And one firm lie into that quadrant, firm number three, which is having good customer services but low capability. And one firm lies in here, firm number four, which is having a bad customer services and low capability. Now it's up to you where you find yourself, and it is up to you to see to whom you are going to compete. So that's how you can position your firm into those competitors. So here you can see on the product positioning map for the banks. There are two banks who are giving services conservatively and personal. There are one bank A who is giving services, personal services, and the banking is having aggressive policies. And the two banks are there, bank number D and E. They have conservative service structure and they provide impersonal services. Now find yourself where you are and where you are going to compete with which kind of competitors. Similarly here, retail store, the last minute is running. If the lecture is disconnected, so it would be all for the today. Then the next I'll be doing in the next class, because next class might be the last one or might be the second last. I think there are 2 more weeks are there. So if this lectures goes down, then this would be the end of the lecture. And from the
next week से सर एग्जाम है
next week exam है. नहीं, next week
जी
exam नहीं
सर
होगा आपका. ये आपका ग्रुप का नहीं है. मुझे कहा गया है.
25
नहीं, आपका
है
मुझे कहा,
मतलब जी सर
आपका मुझे तो 15 अगस्त का कहा गया. तो सॉरी, सितंबर